When the leader of the Mecha Legion, Calgurio, saw that the situation was developing as expected, he secretly snickered. He looked at his army with great confidence. A number of elite men were passing through the gate one by one. Ahead lies the labyrinth that will bring great wealth to Calgurio. I guess the monsters are now in a panic because of the unexpected presence of an army. They were able to do so thanks to their careful planning, and the strength of the soldiers and generals who could match. What remained on the ground was a single door to the maze. That being the case, all they had to do was surround this door and let the enemies stick their wings in it. If you disrupt the space around you, you will be sealed with the teleportation magic. This will allow for a complete blockade. The problem of the combat power of the armed power, Dworgen, is greater. The heroic King Gazelle is not to be underestimated, and the Dwarven soldiers are notoriously tough. It's not a lie that the Millennium Undefeated would die a horrible death if they were underestimated. However, we can't lose. There are up to 2,000 magic tanks here, so if they sacrifice the antiques of the old days, they are no match for us at all. The armed power of Dworgen remains neutral, but this is not at all important in the eyes of the Empire. I've only let them go because I thought it was tricky, but since I knew my own army would win, I didn't have to. Magic and science. The fusion of the two creates the strongest legion, with a whole new way of fighting as a foundation. That's the Mecha Legion led by Calgurio. Then came the report that had been awaited from the very beginning. The enemy sent an emissary to visit, and bargaining broke down. They will go straight to belligerence. Upon receiving this report, the Calgurios marched in according to the intended plan, and have now suppressed the land that looked like the base of the demon lord Rimuru. Calgurio waited there leisurely and began to think about the ministry. It might be a bit of a shame to let Geist get Gazelle's head, but the minions won't come after me until they give me something sweet to eat. There's no way around that. That said, Lieutenant General Geist and Major General Faraga, who were among the best under Calgurio's men, were among the best. Sure to echo his expectations, Calgurio was convinced. Although both Geist and Faraga were now dead, it was too much for Calgurio to detect. By the way, hasn't Geist contacted us yet? Yes. Ever since Lieutenant General Geist returned they had begun to engage the enemy, and had been unable to make contacts since. I think it's about time we got a look at the situation. After all, it's impossible for them to get into a bitter fight and not contact us. Isn't that too lazy? Yes, I'm not sure. Forget it. So, what's going on over at Faraga? It seems like Geist was too excited to go to war for so long. Calgurio thought he saw a big victory coming, so he focused all his attention on the battlefield. That being the case, let's ask Faraga about it. If it was him, he would currently be looking gracefully at the battle from the air. In other words, he should bring the right information. However, the liaison officer in charge of liaising with Faraga was not quite right. He was sweating furiously and was desperately trying to make contact with the other man. What's going on? The good mood was doused with cold water, and Calgurio stood up in displeasure. The tone of the words was a bit harsh. Perhaps anxious about the relationship, the intelligence general replied in a panic. Report from Major General Faraga that he's encountered a suspected Valdor. We'll report back when it's confirmed, but there was no further contact after that. No further contact at all after the first report. According to the communication magic instructor underneath them, the magic element of the Jura Great Forest was very strong, and under normal circumstances, it could easily obstruct the communication numinous wave. And nowadays, if Avaldor was actually on the battlefield, it would be impossible to communicate through magic. After a rational explanation in this direction, Calgurio immediately changed the direction of his thinking. Then just wait for them to bring good news. If they did run into Valdor, Geist and Faraga certainly couldn't contact us. That being the case, we can't afford to lose. Come on down to the maze. Geist and Side had given a huge battle force, and this sense of reassurance did not make Calgurio feel that they would lose the battle. He believed that such a thing as defeat could never happen, and had long ago eliminated that possibility. Not only that, but it even felt right to his advantage. Now that Faraga met Valdor, all that's left in the maze is the Demon Lord. He heard that the 4 heavenly kings under him are also tricky, but it's not enough to watch against the elite of the Mechatronics Transformation Corps. Without the slightest confusion, Calgurio decided to set his mind on the maze before him. The spot where Calgurio was staying was a large open field. There was a phrase written on the gate: "The weak have no right to pass through it," and Calgurio thought it proved he had thought it right. Hide everything for fear of being plundered by us. It's obviously magic and a little clever, isn't it? Whichever country it is rightfully afraid of looting operations in the name of dispatching supplies on the spot. But you guys are so naive. Calgurio was laughing at the shallow intelligence of the demon creature. One of the greatest weaknesses in the conduct of military operations by the great armies was the interruption of the sources of supplies, on which the other side seemed to be pinning its hopes, but Calgurio must say they were naive. Think you can win by cutting off our supplies? It's stupid. Calgurio acted like he was laughing at their stupidity, and one of the staff officers followed suit. The man was of noble birth and wanted to follow Calgurio for real. Ha ha ha, Lord Calgurio. Don't make them sound so sad. That demon Lord Rimuru made a mistake right from the start. Our proud mech-modified regiment sends its strongest assassin, the evil dragon Valdor, to take on the bait. By the time they found out, they were already surrounded by so many heroes. Other staff officers jumped in to echo the sentiment. But there's no reason to think so. It's bait, but it's a big army. Exactly. I can understand that. After listening to these staff officers' conversations, Calgurio's mood became good. Huh. You think you're a demon lord, but that's not all. You must be shrinking into a ball in the depths of the maze right now. Besides mocking the demon lord's short-sightedness, Calgurio was sure that their expedition would be successful. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's how it is. The next thing we need to do is drag the demon lord to Lord Calgurio and cut off his head. That way, Lord Calgurio will become a hero for killing the demon lord. Staff officers of noble birth began to tout Calgurio. That wouldn't be so bad, thought Calgurio. On top of that, if one could also hand over the head of the demon lord Rimuru, Calgurio would surely be chosen as the one who would take the most credit. Like Calgurio, the staffers seemed convinced that they would win. After all, they had an army of 700,000. Seeing such a majestic sight, no one could have imagined that they would be defeated in battle. Let's start the border on this land and make it a camp. Then send troops there in order. Everyone, get up and tackle the maze. Leave it to us. Then proceed as planned. No objections were raised. After all, the situation is not urgent. Oppose it without deliberately risking upsetting the other party. As for the glory to be gained by marching into the west, let it be given to Gladym. Everyone in the room had that consensus. It's more about something else these days. Most were able to get substantial gold and silver treasures within the labyrinth, which heightened their interest. The lust in the hearts of these people wins. All in all, they were going to flood this maze with man tactics, and then plunder it all, a pure and simple battle plan. The fact that no one has objected to this battle plan proves that they have all been blinded by the interests at hand. It is because they are sure they will win that Calgurio and others openly accept their desires. They were convinced that their share of the treasure in the labyrinth would make them a fortune. With that, Operation Maze Raid began. Immediately following, the poor people who knew nothing about it walked happily down the ladder that they never would have a chance to climb again. The labyrinth is a maze of people. Even if the opponent doesn't follow the rules. It's just that. The safety locks have been disengaged. The real posture of the labyrinth, which no one has ever experienced, awaits them just ahead. It is hell on earth. The current location is one of the deepest rooms of the maze. There was a secret conference room there that even Rimuru didn't know about. The masters within the labyrinth then gathered in this vast hall. On weekdays, the members who appear here do not gather. And they'll be there in full force like this, so imagine how important this discussion topic is. The leader is Beretta, the labyrinth coordinator, who is the adjutant and agent of Rammus. There are 4 dragon kings of all kinds. There was a flame dragon king, the ice and snow dragon king, the gale dragon king, and the earth-shattering dragon king, each occupying 4 corners of the hall. And in the middle of the hall, in front of the ebony round table, sat those who were the floor guardian of the 90th floor, the 9-tailed beast Kumar. The floor guardian of the 80th floor, the bug emperor Zijin. Apido, the bug queen, the 79th level of the domain guardian. The floor guardian of the 70th floor, Adalman, the immortal king. The vanguard of the 70th level, Albert Paladin of the dead. They are what people call the 10 lords of the labyrinth, Labyrinth 10. There were also 3 other people who looked abrupt. Next to Adalman was an old man with a keen eye. He was Gatter. To accompany the end seat were the floor guardians of the 50th floor, Gozu and Mezu, knowing that they looked out of place among these strongmen, so they didn't dare to be too high profile when they came to participate. That being said, the 2 of them always feel like they can win no matter what kind of opponent they meet. After that, everyone's spirits were high. Each person believes that he or she can be of greater help. And the idea is reinforced by the fact that none of the floor guardians below the comparison have a chance to make an appearance. They want a chance to make a difference. As for newcomer Gatter, he is full of blood and wants to help his friend Adalman. If there was a waking good showing here, he thought to himself that would really solidify his position. Adalman is now more eager to fight for the Rimuru he believes in than he was before, and wants to improve his status if he can. Thus the other floor guardians are an eyesore. Although not the enemy, they felt in the way. Albert followed Adalman, in addition to secretly having ambitions to enhance his feats and make a name for himself. I didn't expect him to be very intentional. Apido is the same female as Kumar, and their relationship is very sinister. Especially the 9-tailed Kumar, who was responsible for guarding the deep 90th floor. Thus the chances of appearances are almost equal to 0. Apito had a good showing against those paladins, and Komaru was jealous of her and therefore particularly easy to work against, all out of a heart that wanted to work against the other. Apito, on the other hand, was very unconvinced, and was completely unwilling to give up half a step in the face of Komaru. So these two are at each other's throats all day long. Zijin always looks like he's staying out of the way, but he's actually the top guy in the maze. Everyone was jealous of him. He hoped or didn't hope that he would be caught up in the dispute. And just like that, the masters within the maze have a nasty relationship. But to say whether they hate each other to the core, they really don't. In fact, they're just trying to prove they're the best, and not trying to fight their opponents off. Respect each other despite being jealous. Just because they will fight doesn't mean they hate their opponent. Both consider each other to be good opponents for each other's cutting.